Peter can do it, right? Yeah, I'll do it.
Thank you. Hey, Peter, do you know if we're expecting Lee to be here?
I don't know. I haven't heard back from her. Can you hear me?
Hold on, we can't hear you, Peter. There she is. Hi, Lee.
Test, test. Can you hear me? Test, test.
Lee just joined us.
Test, 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 test. Can you hear me?
Are you connected to audio, Peter?
You can hear me?
We have to use the mic.
Tammy.
Test.
We run the world, girls. Ooh. Yeah. Hold on now. Hold on now. Okay. I'm already a loud person, so.
You see if he can say something.
Peter,
He can't hear me without mine.
hey, Peter, can you say something now? Can you try again?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
All right, good.
Tammy, aren't you a member of this? Because I don't think we have a quorum. Okay. We can still go ahead. I'm Lee Jones. I'm a commissioner and chair of this committee, and welcome everyone. I think we could go ahead and hear Victoria's presentation, I think. We won't be able to vote on anything. And I did want to mention that at the last meeting, you didn't have a quorum and you voted on dates for the next few meetings or something. And that isn't going to count, which isn't a big deal. It's just that we can't put the dates on the website or anything like that yet. And since we still don't have a quorum, we aren't going to be able to vote on that. But hopefully next time we can. And there's also a small matter of, Peter, do you know if we've ever voted on whether or not we can do online meetings?
That vote was not taken in this body. No.
Okay, then if we had a quorum and we're having a real meeting, Peter wouldn't count because we need to actually vote to have virtual meetings, and there are all kinds of rules surrounding that, which we can go into if we ever get around to voting on it. So Victoria, you're our main speaker for today. Would you like to go ahead with your presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me, Peter? Perfect. All right, I'm on the team, so I'm going to try and share my screen real quick. That's a thing I can do. Aha. All right. So last time I was here, we talked a bit, we went over the climate resilience plan, went over the kind of slide deck for that. In the past month, we've gotten it to a really good place. So it looks, let's see, this is just a PDF version. and it may take a hot second for it to download and get ready, but we have slimmed it down from like 160 pages to I think like 116. So still pretty hefty, but we've sent it off to Geos, which is a like IU consulting firm that was supposed to help with all of this. And we have the strategies developed pretty well and everything. The only thing that will need to be edited, as we're not ready to have this plan adopted just yet. We need a little more, I want to say, stakeholder work in the vulnerability section. We need to get a couple more people with a couple different ideas, mainly agriculture kind of involved. So in the coming months after my departure, one of the main things that we're going to be looking at changing is a lot of the language in the executive summary. And there's like 4 different sections that are climate trends, primers, just understanding what Monroe County actually is. That is also further talked about in the appendices, which is super nice because we get more detail. But at the same time, I don't think anybody wants to read this long of a document. So I don't know if that's something down the line we'd want to draft like more of a public document that's just shorter and briefer, or if that's something we'd want to go through and completely kind of overhaul the, let's find a good spot. Overhaul it. Yes. I can do that. Let's see. Because all of this is super great and super awesome, and the past 2 McKinney fellows have been amazing with what they've done. But oh, this is a this is not the different draft. Interesting. Well, anyways, the main meat is like right here. Yeah. Oh goodness. Well,
What's the one that you eat?
yeah. Here we are.
Can I ask a question while you're looking for the right draft?
Yes, sir.
So, we've done a lot of work on this document. There's been 2 workshops that have been compiled into this document, and agriculture is represented in a lot of the systems. Where do we need to be more robust in terms of agricultural resilience?
I think we could maybe honestly add a section because we have like resilient natural systems, we've got infrastructure. I honestly think agriculture could get its own section. But that's also something we can kind of work towards down the line, because there is a lot of, like Peter said, there's a lot of information in here about agriculture. It's just not as clumped together or like as easily seen, in my opinion.
I think
Well, and there really, nothing has suggested solutions to the agricultural problems. I haven't read it in great detail, but I didn't find anything easily. And there will be big agricultural problems.
There are already.
Yeah,
At the last meeting, you weren't here, but I brought up the fact that in all of these initiatives, who's going to be doing this work? And if people are hungry and unwell because of lack of food, then
yeah,
we have an essential issue,
Going
a
to
common
be a-
determination.
very major problem. And part of climate resilience or helping with climate change is going to have to mean not shipping things all over the world and all that, which means that local agriculture really needs to be supported.
I think that's a great point, especially since this is the state's first county climate resiliency plan. The municipalities and the cities aren't going to be focusing on that as much as we would. I think that makes sense to give it more of a platform. And the actions and the implementation matrix, most of the ag-related actions are focused on continuing existing programs through the SWCD or the Farm Bill programs, which are very important.
Oh, yeah.
I think we can build on that, of course, you know.
I think they're passive. I
Mhm.
think last time we talked a lot about education at the community level, and so you even suggested we'd have this whole other column of community partnerships,
Mhm.
and that those community partnerships would, yeah, really underwrite in a way in all of their initiatives, agriculture, sustainability, but what we're now calling regenerative agriculture. And so I think, yes, having its own category, but much like an integrated process, we would need every educational outlet or partnership to include an agricultural resource tool that's being created by that category.
I think another problem that we're going to be seeing with agriculture is that the agricultural equipment that's available nowadays, in the first place, it's not all that climate friendly itself. And in the second place, most of it isn't scaled to work on small farms. Um, so, that's going to be something that needs to be thought about. I don't think any of us are going to go into producing agricultural machinery, but
But cost share options to help pay for
something like that.
modifications or new
Mhm.
equipment. Martha would be better suited to speak on what they can currently do.
Yeah.
But making improvements to those plans.
I mean,
Oh.
it's the kind of thing that if it starts getting talked about, then people get more interested.
Interesting. So,
I think you noted something last time we were here about the color, like coordinating and just having like icons that made it a bit easier to read.
You know, a lot of trade-offs there. And I can see you were trying to optimize that already. It's not an easy optimization.
We've done a little bit of work on that. So if you can see on the screen, should I zoom in even more probably? Let's see. There we are. All right, so this is the appendix. So the big meat of this is up in the body, but honestly, it's just for our sake so much easier to look at. It all condensed. So we have these icons that kind of explain cross-sector, high priority items, greenhouse gas emissions, mitigation, governmental action. This strategy would help build equity and enhances environmental health and biological diversity. The high priority item, I got that distinction from one of the workshops that was done where people placed votes under what they thought would be the most concerning things. So that's not necessarily like set in stone, but that's just what we drew from the workshops. So we go down here. And this is where in the actual climate resilience plan, you do see an explanation underneath it with some more language detailing it. But as you can see for strategy 1.6, our strategy is to increase water quality data for Lake Monroe and its watershed. And you see it has the green icon and the cross sector, so help support biological and has cross sectors. And then we go into the effectiveness area, the upfront costs and the ongoing costs, which I kind of believe those need fleshed out a little bit more, the upfront costs and the ongoing costs. But these were just, again, taken from the vulnerability and strategy workshops. So we have all of these, which I like. Kelsey and I actually tossed around the idea of like, should we put this in the main meat and have the descriptive section in the appendix because it's easier to read like this. Just some options. It's just so much easier to actually be able to go through and just bam, bam, bam. These are the values, responsible parties, just getting the gist of it so much easier. And then going off of there, we have, this is another color coded section. Let's get down to it. Sorry, I should have had the PDF up with Word, it just makes it it just lags a little bit more, but the formatting is better. Well, while it's loading, the vulnerability assessment table is color coded as low sensitivity all the way up to high sensitivity and low adaptive capacity up to high adaptive capacity. So we've identified all 19 of the vulnerabilities and we've ranked them in the chart, as you will see, hopefully, whenever it loads. It's honestly a really nice, I think, who was it? Todd who came up with that? It was an excellent, excellent table. Aha. All right. Progress.
As this is loading, I'm wondering if we see, say, a large gap in our data for, just agricultural, could we maybe form like a committee and do like a committee meeting to go over like that part of the plan and the matrix and just brainstorm any vulnerabilities that are missing, strategies and actions that we can add to the plan?
Good idea.
And then take it to, say, our next big meeting of the whole commission, see what everyone thinks.
Because now that we have the plan essentially set up and formatted the way we want, that was just a lot of the beast of it, was just getting it organized.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
once we have new vulnerabilities and new strategies, it's just going to be easy going from there.
Peter has his hand raised.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yes, Peter.
I really like the idea of forming a committee to do like almost like another mini workshop or something to do the agricultural topic. I really like that idea. My concern is that we need someone to do the work, and this current fellow is leaving very soon. So we want to think about how we're going to get that work done in a timely manner.
That is a great point. Because as like I'm just brainstorming, like I think we need like an education section, we need an agriculture section, we need a lot. So, but yes, now we've made it to the promised table. So these are technically they call them risks, but I think we'll end up changing that to vulnerability matrix. Yeah, it's even small on my screen, so sorry. Yeah, goodness. So low adaptive capacity on the left-hand side is this red kind of box right here. And it's in conjunction with high sensitivity as well. So all of these that we have identified, these are our vulnerabilities. These have high sensitivity to climate change and show low adaptive capacity, putting them in the red category, which means danger, bad, scary. We need to work on these first. Up here, it also notes the symbol, the arrow indicates highest priority for strategy development. So that's also, I drew that from the vulnerability workshop as well. So we can see flooding and flash floods will impact public infrastructure and private property, including roads, bridges, and public transportation. That's a big concern, as well as utility systems stressed by demand and high temps can lead to energy outages and affect public health, as well as poor water quality in Lake Monroe. Down here, just a continuation of the table. Things we aren't as worried about, but we still need to be on guard for. And with these, oh, found a typo. With these, like low sensitivity, but still low adaptive capacity, it says none recorded. I'd like to see this table filled because I know that there definitely are vulnerabilities that fit in these categories. And not to go on another joyride, but community culture, this is where we just kind of flesh it out a little bit more. There's one high, one medium high, and then there's nothing for medium and medium low. This all came from the vulnerability workshop. So if we did another in a timely manner workshop with the commission, that would be something I'd be interested in kind of developing, because it's just empty right now. It feels like there's still room for some suggestions to be made.
Or could we do like one-on-one discussions with local experts, stakeholders? I'm sure there has to be someone out there in our community who can help us with that section.
True. Because I think I like the way this table is drawn up, though. I think it makes it easy to read. But also, I would like to see this table up front, like in the executive summary, where people can just see the list of those strategies, bam, 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 this table and a list of the vulnerabilities. If they want to keep reading and they want to learn more about the details and everything, that's great. But these are the important parts that I really want them to see. I think that's about it on the main changes that we made in the resilience plan.
Can I bring up a separate topic? Lee had brought up the idea of doing a community survey because that was never completed. Peter, did you have your hand raised? Okay. I just wanted to share that with the group. Do you think that'd be a good idea?
I think that'd be a really good idea. I don't really feel as though we've drawn the community into this to the extent that they should be. This kind of affects everyone, and I think a lot of people aren't even aware that we're working on it.
I think that's a very good idea. Don't quote me on this, but that was something that Geos, the consulting people, wanted us to do, and we just didn't get around to it. But I think I still have access to some of that survey, not data, but just like template or there may be something I can dig up before I lose my contact with Geos that could be helpful. So I'll make a note of that and see if there's anything I can pull from that. Because if there's one pretty drawn out already, that would be awesome.
Victoria, if you can't find it, I have it.
Oh,
It's
awesome.
it's in the work that Hayter did.
Ah, gotcha.
But I mean, the reason we didn't do it was because we just ran out of time.
Yeah.
So, you know, we got these workshops going and we got this report put together. So now that we have a little bit more time and can plan a little bit more, it's a good idea to do it.
Has the city of Bloomington done anything similar in terms of survey?
Yes, they did.
Just model.
As a part of this cohort, they had their marketing team put out a survey. It went out to their marketing channels, and we'd have to talk with our city colleagues about the results of that survey in terms of, you know, how many people it went to, how many people responded, and what are the results. I know when we were talking about doing our survey, we were talking about doing what Commissioner Jones had talked about and trying to be more community minded, getting it out to the trustees, the libraries, and really trying to focus on, you know, the entire community, but also particularly underserved areas.
How would we send that out? Is that something we can email to people, or is it just more of a voluntary, like you go to the library and you scan the QR code and that's how you get the survey?
There would be a few possibilities. The Environmental Commission does have a bit of a budget, not huge. And the commissioners need to okay expenditures from it, but if the Environmental Commission were to agree, we might be able to use some of that money to either develop or get out a survey.
I've noticed that the Purdue, IU Health, and one other group is doing listening sessions. And so I'm a fan of surveying, but I'm an advocate for listening sessions. I think they're just a lot more effective. And then offering the survey after the listening session. I'm also a fan of serving food when we're talking about agriculture. So I think that if we want community, especially those who are historically and currently being oppressed, to show up, we need to be really intentional about where, what time, how often. And then when we consider frequency, so the summer is the height of the season in terms of having community members there, but not necessarily farmers because they're working. So that might have to be two separate initiatives. And then thinking really critically about how often we'd have these. Right now, Purdue and IU Health are having them every single Tuesday night, and they have for like 6 weeks straight. And I felt like that was so effective, that it's like the same night every week for a 6 week period. So
Different
people,
places.
different places,
time.
yeah, but
Really good.
I felt like that was super effective. And then recording those and using outlets to show what people are saying, I think fosters a better conversation than just sending an email with a survey. But in particular, I know that there are community groups who are already having meals with families, meals with groups, after school programs, Boys and Girls Club, that could actually have the time to sit down and have a conversation, not just extract data and then we make all these decisions with the survey data. Yes, I will help with that. I saw it. It's like you were like, this is a great idea, but who's doing it? Yeah. I will help with that.
I'm thinking of like the planning department holding their CDO work sessions at different locations and different times and coordinating all of that.
It's a
It's
huge amount of work.
a lot of work.
The health
Can't we?
department's doing, the health department's doing them right now too.
Who is?
The health department, the Monroe County Health Department, they're doing
Okay.
community health inventory listening sessions all across the county, different nights. I think they're doing them one every other week.
I know this may be a little out of the Monroe County lens, maybe, but as I'm a student at IU, it's super easy for like us as students, if you have a professor or anybody who wants to send a survey or get anybody involved, like in the entire geography major, my like advisor will just send a link to a survey and they get very high feedback. I know that a lot of the kids that are at IU aren't necessarily Indiana residents, let alone Monroe County, but a lot of them care very much about the environment and care about what's going on here in Monroe County. So I don't know if that's something we could explore a little bit further working with IU, or that could be maybe out of the lens, but
We might have an internal county possibility with that. We have a GIS specialist who's very good, very impressive. And he's put together a few different things of this sort for us. And then, I mean, we want to get it out to the community as a whole. We can put something like that on the county website and the Facebook and various things like that. But it would be nice to have ways to spread it out further.
I think it'd be interesting to engage the students in actually distributing the survey.
And students from other states might have some really good ideas that we haven't thought of here.
I just know it's everyone that is not in school is so busy. They've got like full adult lives. And while students still have like a little bit of freedom, a little bit of free time, a lot of them are interested and like want to speak up about the environment. So if you're looking for any input,
Yeah.
I use a good place to look.
Peter. His hand raised.
Thanks. I use the hand raise function, so I'm not like talking over people. I can't really see. So thanks for calling on me. I did want to ask a question. Are we talking about two separate things here? A community-wide survey on climate resilience and then listening sessions focus on agriculture?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Do you even see my thumbs up? Dang it. Never mind.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or anything I could kind of clarify about where the climate resilience plan is right now?
What if we did themed listening sessions? If someone wanted to talk about something climate related that was, say, focused on Lake Monroe, agriculture, emergency services, or something, maybe.
I'd love that within the meeting,
Okay,
but if we theme the meeting, then I'm like, well, I don't want to. And then I won't
Okay.
come.
so it'll be a general listening session. Okay,
But then we'd break out into those themes.
But
and
still, like-
hopefully we have like people who are interested in all of it.
Okay.
Ideally. But those breakout workshops or mini sessions would be super effective for someone to lead the conversation, talk about where we are now, and then get the feedback from them within each category, within each theme.
I like it.
Peter.
Now we can't hear you.
I can't hear you.
You can mime.
Do you know sign?
Mhm.
Ah, yes.
While we've had these problems with teams more than,
Well, you just spurred my thoughts more in the themed things. Like we haven't gotten approval from like Friends of Lake Monroe to like lead any of these things, but down the line, if we did, Friends of Lake Monroe could run like a theme session like that with all of the strategies that they're responsible for.
Mhm.
That'd be a
After
great
the
way to like
session.
get them in.
Hopefully that's when the partner organizations would come in,
Yes.
right? So we've got listening section data, qualitatively, quantitative data from the survey, and then we'd give that to the partner organization and they would be able to draw in some of those community leaders to enact it.
Teacher. Try again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, cool. These listening sessions sound really exciting and wonderful. And I just wanted to remind everyone that we are an implementation body and we have a whole implementation matrix. So maybe one of the ways that we wrap our heads around the implementation matrix is to group a series of implementable goals that are thematic. And the listening sessions are to talk about ways that we can implement those strategies. Just a thought.
Yes.
I
Sounds
like
great.
We're all nodding.
We're nodding.
Okay.
Awesome. Just to kind of wrap up the climate resilience plan where we are. I'm leaving shortly, unfortunately, but it's been sent off to GEOS. So hopefully we're gonna get some feedback about our strategies and just the general formatting and everything that we have in this plan within the next, I want to say 2-3 weeks max, maybe. So that'll get shared with you all. And then from there, that's when we'll head into kind of listening sessions or another look at the implementation matrix, because we want to get into that really quick. Wait, does anyone have any questions about the climate resilience plan before we move on?
Put an updated version in the public folder.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do you want that to be like a Word SharePoint or the PDF kind of?
I think a PDF update is
Okay.
fine. Yeah, I think we've changed enough from the last version. I think
Yeah.
everyone should have access. Right input.
This is a kind of behind the scenes look of the implementation matrix. So. Come on, sunshine. Not gonna let me zoom out. Oh, see, I don't know how to fix this. Oh, there it is. It was hiding underneath right here. There we are. Okay. Just so we can get, I was like, oh no. Here, okay. So this, I don't care about this as much today. But I move into here. Technology, you know.
I thought we were gonna print it last time. Didn't somebody say that?
We probably should.
I said that and then I left town.
Rude.
My fault.
Yeah.
My fault.
So, the next meeting,
Yeah.
if we could print it, that would be effective.
I need to be able to, I can't scroll. Here,
Okay.
maybe it'll let me just tab over like that. Wants to be crazy today, doesn't it? Well, it's not that jarringly important. I just wanted to kind of give a brief overview. You won't be able to see, but I'll be able to just explain it. Yeah. So one of the things we're going to need to look forward for with the Blue Ribbon Commission, the implementation priority. That's something that we need to take note of. That's something that GEOS is going to kind of growl at us for not having in our climate resilience plan yet, but we just weren't really in a place to create a timetable for all of these actions. So that's something down the line we're going to need to look at.
What does the number 1, 2, or 3 mean in terms of the phase or priority?
Honestly, I'm not sure the way GEOS wants to set it up. I'm sure there's some scale. The way I was imagining it would just be phase 1 is in like, I don't even know, 1 to 3 years, things we can accomplish like that, 3 to 6, and then 6+ perhaps.
So it's time frame
Yes.
more so than priority, like, because you're taking into account the feasibility and
Great question. It could go many ways. It could go many ways.
I don't know it myself. That's why I want to,
Yeah.
talk about it a little bit.
I could talk to Ms. Gore about that and see what just the other, like what Bloomington has done for it, but I'm pretty sure that pretty much aligns with that big color-coded table where it was like flooding and utility. So I assume it'd be a combination of things, but bottom line, I'd want it to be time.
Okay.
Hmm.
I almost feel like the 1, 2, and 3 is so vague that maybe if we're talking about time, it should be 0 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years.
Well, honestly, this is our own document. We could split it off to priority lists like 1, 2, 3, and then time frame at different sections. So we don't have to keep this exactly the way it is. It's a working doc. That could be a good idea though, actually.
I agree.
But we've gotten, Kelsey and Tammy have been so helpful with just getting the wording right and figuring out how to flush out and actually make sure we have jurisdiction and it makes sense, these actions, which the actions aren't as heavily hit in the climate resilience plan. They're noted under the strategy, but in the implementation matrix is where we actually see like, oh yes, improving land use activities in the Lake Monroe watershed. That sounds like a great strategy, but these are the actual actions of like hiring a full-time watershed coordinator. That's an actionable item that we could get done. So a bunch of that is pretty well flushed out until we get to over here, which I'm just gonna hide these for a second. I think.
Victoria, I guess I'm trying to figure out just what it is that the commissioners need to sign off on. Would the implementation plan be a part of it or something separate?
Yes.
Okay.
However, I honestly think we could have,
I think the implementation matrix is incorporated into the plan.
but
Yeah,
it's not
so it
in
should-
the plan technically. Like it's incorporated in, but it's not a part of the climate resilience actual document.
But I think it's incorporated by reference.
Yes.
Yeah.
If this is the true main meat of what the climate resilience plan is.
Yeah. And actually, I think that the other commissioners would prefer to see that.
Okay.
And then also, and I need to check with legal about this, but I think once we pass the plan, any changes in it are going to have to come to us to be passed.
That makes sense. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, I'll hit on this when I come on Wednesday.
Okay, good.
Peter?
Oh, yes, Peter.
Yeah, Leah, I mean, Commissioner Jones, I think you raise a really good point about additional changes are going to need to be adopted. And I'm wondering if we could work something out where if we're going to have a series of listening sessions with agricultural partners and making some pretty substantial changes, can we bring a number of changes to the commissioners to adopt all at once rather than having to be at your meeting every single Wednesday? Maybe that's a better
Oh.
legal question.
Yes, yeah, that, I think we would prefer that also. Yeah,
Perfect. Okay, that sounds awesome. I'll just give a brief little rundown of the matrix really quick, and then I want to talk about the resolution and the proclamation briefly. This is more just of an explanation. This is where things get a little harder to pin down this back end. The community support, kind of just a general guessage throughout with Kelsey and Tammy and all of us. Yeah, survey would be so helpful because the community stakeholders, that's something we can brainstorm as well, but without doing like a full feasibility study on most of these items, that's hard to pin down as well. And then we get into like the detailed weeds, which is like the prerequisites. What do we need to happen? Are there any institutional barriers that are blocking us? Local government opportunities, timeline, funding opportunities. Have other communities done any of this? The capacity, social equity, performance measures. This is something that Kelsey was so helpful with because there really wasn't a lot of data about how we were actually going to measure the effectiveness of these strategies. So I think that could also be another workshop opportunity.
Yeah, I think that was in one of the workshops,
Mhm.
and we didn't address it fully in our groups. It was just so much.
There was some information about it, but just not enough to really hammer that home. So just wanted to bring that to your attention that that's something that needs drafted out in the matrix.
So we got what we could from the workshops, and that's what we filled in so far, but we have gaps. Is what we're
Yes.
saying. Okay.
Yes. Perfect. All right, matrix done.
Also, the column about has anyone else done something like this? I think we modify that column to say has City of Bloomington, or we could put IU, or maybe just focus on our local partners since we have so
Yeah.
many other climate resiliency plans.
Makes sense.
I know there's one in Indy,
Mhm.
and I know that that's something. So we could include Marion County too, that.
Yeah.
that would be interesting with its Unigov. It would have somewhat different
Mhm.
focus, I would say.
Yeah,
There
but
were-
I think because there's a climate resiliency organization there, and they have done an excellent job of staying community focused. Their input would be significant in the way that we want to move through this plan, not necessarily where they're going and where we're going, but how they're doing it. And I really appreciate, they have like climate camps, right? And so the way that they're gathering information is unique, but also really community focused, and we are interested in that. Right, we're all nodding. Okay, great.
We're nodding.
I'm snapping.
All right, so moving into the proclamation and the resolution. I still don't have the copy of the resolution. I think Mr. Cockrell sent it to you.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to look for it on here, and I thought he said it was 2023-11 or 21, establishing, is that the correct one? Establishing the climate resilience plan? Peter, do you know?
No, this is specifically
No.
about the Blue Ribbon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Did you work with Dina on anything?
a little bit. She helped me print some stuff before the meeting, but I don't have the I don't have the initial resolution. But that's okay. We can just kind of talk about that. I think you have a decent,
I think there are just two relatively small, well, one relatively small change and one that may be more complex.
so one thing with it is we're gonna change the language so that the next McKinney Fellow or intern or whoever is working on this project will be able to visit the different departments, go in between departments without having to get special permission. Just kind of paves the way, frees the road for the next person to get some work done.
That's a great idea.
Another thing that you, Kelsey, brought up is is the Blue Ribbon Commission's name the Climate Resiliency Blue Ribbon Commission, or is it just the Blue Ribbon Commission?
It's the Blue Ribbon Commission on Climate Resiliency, I'm pretty sure. I need to check to make certain. It's just become easier to.
Blue Ribbon Commission. Well, that's something I would send to Mr. Cockrell if we were going to go with climate resiliency, like BRC, or
I think it's BRCC.
BRCC.
Maybe should be BRCCR. But that's getting a little.
Because we refer back to it a decent amount in the climate resilience plan. And I'd like them just to match up while we're already doing some amendments to the resolution. We may as well throw that in there. Great. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to suggest with changing or like amending the resolution?
Well, the other thing that we did change was the number of people who are on the committee, because we're having such a hard time getting a quorum. So I believe it was originally 10. And I don't know if we ever actually got 10.
It was
We had 9.
9.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we reduced it to 7. And I should imagine some of the people who can't really make it might not mind. But we're going to have to.
How does it work with the people who are seated on the commission? Is it a like year type of contract, or is it just a volunteer? Are you set for like a term or anything?
I think we did. I just can't remember exactly what it was.
2 years.
2-year appointment.
Another thing Mr. Cockrell did bring up is that this resolution is valid only for 2 years, I want to say 2 years or 3 years. I assured him that we'd be done with the plan by November. That's what he was like really saying. If we need more time to work on the plan, then we would need to amend the resolution to allow more time. But I really think by November, this plan should be very, very well done. Does anyone disagree? Perfect. Okay, just wanted to
And-
make sure on that.
To Lee's point, the resolution can be amended with substantial changes as we move forward.
Okay, awesome. All right, well then last
Sorry.
little order. Oh, sorry, Peter.
No, I'm sorry. I meant to say Commissioner Jones.
Oh, that's okay. I never quite know who that is.
All right. So here is, and I sent you and the commissioner's office and the other 2 commissioners this,
The proclamation.
the proclamation. So while we can't adopt the plan right now, we're not in a place for that. What we can do is combine Earth Day and the work that's been done and is ongoing in the climate resiliency plan for a proclamation on the 24th. That's next Wednesday. So while it's not exactly on Earth Day, it's Earth Week, and I think it's pretty cohesive and awesome. So
I think some people have referred to April as Climate Month.
okay,
Yeah, so maybe we could just go with that.
awesome. Yeah. Well, I can go through and read line by line if anyone wants, or you guys can all just take a take a little gander. Commissioner Jones, did you have any any comments or edits while I have you right now? Or did any of the other commissioners say anything?
I haven't heard anything from the other commissioners. They actually may not have had a chance to look at it closely yet. And I think my main thing was just wanting to wrap it into Earth Day.
Mhm.
I'll take another look at it and let you know if there's anything more that I notice.
Peter's got his hand up. Peter?
It was simply logistical, that as soon as the commissioners, or should the commissioners adopt this on Wednesday, that, I think it would be great to send this off to our various partners that have been working with us on this, whether or not they came to a workshop or certainly the ERI, they can, put this into a press release.
Yeah, that'd be a nice thing to do. I wonder if are you talking about a physical copy or?
No.
Okay.
No, a digital copy would suffice.
Yeah, the actual proclamation gets printed on special paper and has a seal and all kinds of things to make it very official.
Very exciting. I hope to get a copy. I think the main, like, bottom line on it is just, we, as the now therefore, we, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim our recognition of Earth Day and the Monroe County Climate Resilience Plan as vital and necessary steps towards ensuring the long-term resilience and sustainability of our community in the face of climate change. Bottom line, the climate plan rocks, and we're gonna do it.
And what comes before that is just varying points that support that conclusion.
Yeah.
That's great. Good to at least mention this and get the community aware and just thinking about this, especially if we're going to be pursuing more community input. A good springboard for that, I think.
Is this, so I emailed this to the commissioner's office. So it'll be in the correct formatting and on the correct everything.
I will check with Dina, but it should be.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, I will stop sharing my screen. I've yapped long enough today. Figure out how to do that. Nice.
Thank you for all your work, Victoria.
Yeah, thanks, Victoria. Thank you for all of this. I just stepped in January and there's so much already done. I was like, wow, this is great.
Well, you've pulled a lot together, which is
Thank you.
a pretty big thing.
So before we go, I have to say that this time does not work for me. So I know that we didn't have the quorum to vote on it anyway, so that makes it a little bit easier. But if we could meet not on Thursdays at noon, that would be fantastic. And I know we don't have the quorum to vote on it now, but I do want to bring that up. That it is not actually an available time for me. 1 o'clock is fine, but noon is not.
I could do
I
one.
wonder if we should try a doodle poll and see what we can end up with. I think I'm going to be one of the biggest problems because I have an awful lot of meetings I have to go to. And I guess as chair, it kind of needs to be on a day when I can do it. But maybe we can find something that'll match up pretty well.
People's schedules will be changing, won't they? Like now that summer's kind of coming around, so.
That,
A doodle poll would be good
although
in general.
unfortunately mine becomes worse. So.
Yeah, same. I have 34 lambs, so it will be worse. Peter, anything you want to say?
This is so exciting. This is wonderful. I'm really excited for the future. It seems like we're heading in the right direction. We're talking about the right things.
Yes, well, thank you all. And I guess our next meeting is on the 23rd. Is that what we tentatively had? I think.
We had said the 16th at noon.
Oh, okay,
How-
I thought that had been changed, but maybe,
But if noon on a Thursday doesn't work for anybody, then we need to find something else.
yeah,
1 PM on Thursday would work for me.
1 PM works for me on Thursday.
it would be good for me.
1 PM?
Yeah.
1
Is it
PM.
good? Greg said yes.
You're here, you matter. Okay, cool. Oh,
Okay, well, for
Definitely.
May 16th, let's just plan on 1 PM. It might be a good idea to still survey other people
Mhm.
who are on the committee.
for the June meeting.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
and I don't, as for shrinking the group, it might be best to just have the whole, as many people as can make it in June. And maybe send out a notice quite soon to everyone that this will be a discussion in June, so please show up.
For the quorum, yeah.
That works
with-
for me.
Although,
With the
oh, I'm sorry, Peter, I just realized that actually, if we, at this point, which officially at this point, we are a 7-person committee. And if we say that officially at the next meeting, then we only need 4 people to get a quorum.
Mhm,
So that might
Yeah, and we
be
did
the
it.
best way to go.
mhm.
That's
Okay.
great.
I'm sorry, what were you saying, Peter?
No, I agree. That sounds like a great idea. And also because we changed the time, we have to probably just make sure that the room's available.
Oh, yes. I don't think it'll be a problem, but I will check with Dina.
Great.
It's-
I do like the idea of a kind of polling for a preferred time and day of the month. Just to get as much participation as possible. I think the more we have, the better.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we can all say that this time works, but let's hear from the others also. And I don't think there'll be any problem with 1 o'clock since no one's in here trying to get us out. So. So if there's nothing further, anyone have anything else? Peter? Well, then we are adjourned. Very efficient.
Thank you.
Exactly an hour.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, what is your name?
Laura McAllister.
Lauren McAllister. Okay. I